All right. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I am from the Johns Hopkins Alt Protein Project, and I was a co-founder and former co-president. So I'm going to be talking to you about the efforts of our education committee recently, the resources and relevant faculty that we've mapped out, and specifically our course pitch. More about our course, reflections on our course that happened last fall, and our plans for future development. And then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So yeah, first off, I wanted to recognize everyone who contributed to this presentation specifically, but also largely our education efforts in the past and future. So Emily, she's our president of Alt Protein Project right now, and she's also our former director of education. So she did a lot of these efforts previously. She was a TA for our recent Alt Protein course. I'm Lauren. I'm a PhD student at Johns Hopkins and co-founded the group. And I also was a lecturer and a TA for the recent course. And then Vivian is a material science PhD candidate. Vivian is also on the call. She'll give us some info about future developments in this education committee, as well as Sanchit. They are co-directors of education representing grad students and undergrads. Sanchit is also on this call, and he'll be sharing some links with you. So yeah, that's who made this presentation. I'll go through the first part. Overall, I wanted to emphasize that this has been a long journey, and the main message that I want to convey through this is that you have to walk before you can run. So we had a lot of build up to even our 1 credit hour class, and we're aiming for our 3 credit hour class. So for example, in January 2021, we had these intersession courses. They're typically in the winter time, just like 1 or 2 or 3 weeks. So we had some 2-week courses that were taught by grad students, and we're able to build a lot of slide deck material during that time. After that is when we actually started the Alt Protein Project chapter here at Hopkins. It was me and one of my students who were the co-founders, and from there we did lots of various activities, like leading a meat mimicry workshop in the Baltimore community in collaboration with this Baltimore Underground Science Space organization. We taught the intersession course another time so we could further iterate on it and improve upon it. And then in June of 2022, we got really serious, or Emily, the director of education, got really serious about making a curriculum or making 1 class. So we started getting a lot of serious planning done in June. And then actually, surprisingly, by August, we were able to launch our 1 credit hour future food manufacturing course. We were originally aiming for spring, but the faculty availability had us start in August, and it just worked out. So this spring, we're actually reflecting on past courses and making plans to expand to a 3 credit hour course in the fall of this year. So yeah, so a little bit more about how we got the 1 credit hour faculty-led course underway. Some of our first steps were, so we made a dedicated task force. We had our education committee previously, but faculty-led course, and they focused on nothing else. We really played on each really good at talking to faculty, then they do that. And we met regularly. We also were navigating GFI's curriculum building guide a lot. They had a lot of email templates and just different resources. They helped us form the right language. And we leaned on prior efforts from our education committee. And then most importantly, we spent a lot of time mapping out like the different relevant departments, like biomedical engineering, civil engineering, biophysics, public health and bioethics, biology. So they were spanning multiple different colleges, and majors. So we were able to identify or get some positive responses from a few people. And really all we needed was like one person to agree to lead the course. So at first we asked our faculty advisor, Warren Grayson. He said he would love to do it, but he was honest about his bandwidth, and he said he could not take it on. So we moved on to others, and we ended up going with Johan Mueller because he was enthusiastic about making a class. And we were also so adamant about, okay, yes, we know you're really busy, but we will try and do as much of the planning ourselves as possible. We just really want to see this happen, and we need a faculty's name on it. So we tried to lower the barrier for their involvement as much as possible. Yeah, and so we were just trying to lean on people we've interacted with already, people who were, I'm in biophysics, so Doug knows me, and so he agreed to teach a guest lecture. Overall, we were very open and flexible, but we were highly persistent in our efforts to persuade faculty. And so going into being the highly persistent, borderline like respectfully aggressive, I'd say, politely aggressive. We made a pitch deck, which we were sharing with faculty, and just to convince them like why this is important, and it just summarized everything we were trying to do. You can check out our pitch deck, and it's an older version, but the pitch includes like, what is alt protein tech, why is it important, why is Hopkins good for creating an alt protein project curriculum, different resources that are out there already. And we also got Christina Aguila's feedback on this. She was our academic community coordinator at the time, and so she helped edit our pitch deck. So in the pitch deck, I'm just sharing a couple different slides. We were trying to reiterate that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's already so many syllabi and slide decks and recorded lectures out there already. So you don't need to, go out there and build your own course. So that also lowered the barrier. And then we also wanted to kind of instill this feeling of FOMO within Hopkins deans and professors. And so we wanted them to feel like, oh, if we don't have this, we're going to be behind. So we were like highlighting why Hopkins is such a perfect institution to lead in the alt protein space. And yeah, so we had different slides like this, and you can check out our slide deck for everything else. Yeah, ultimately, we were able to develop a course, find a faculty to lead it, and then we found some faculty to be guest lecturers, and we just got right into developing our course. So we tried to make our course specific to our Hopkins community. So every course, no matter what institution it's at, is going to be slightly different. So we were trying to engage professors from our institution so that they could come in person. So we were looking at, back to our list that we shared earlier, who has related research or a secret passion for alt proteins, who gave us positive responses during our reach outs. We also were looking into our broader Johns Hopkins community. So what other institutions or companies in the Baltimore area are related to alt protein? So we also engaged alumni from the school. So Liz Specht from GFI happens to be a 2009 ChemBE alumni, and she was in town one of the days. So she came in, she did a guest lecture for the class, which was really special. And we didn't get to do tastings with local restaurants and companies, but it's something that we would like to do in the future. But that's like a good way to make it more, to build the community, because this class is really a great opportunity to build the alt protein community in your school, basically. So yeah, we built our syllabus. You can access our syllabus here, and like we can also share the links throughout. And so the syllabus included guest lectures mostly. It was a 1 credit hour class. We covered all three pillars of alt protein. We had food samples and tastings. We had a mini potluck one day and an industry case study collaboration, which I will go into more detail on the next slide. So the way that we wanted to grade them, we didn't want for this 1 credit hour class it to be all like quizzes and homework and tests. We wanted it to be like kind of fun and real world. And so we graded mostly on participation, attendance, and then like mostly on their midterm and final presentations for their industry collaboration. And the industry collaborations, we recruited these through an application form, which if you want to borrow it, you can access it here. And we shared this application form widely on LinkedIn and also GF Ideas. And we had 13 applications, of which we chose 5 startups in various diverse topics to collaborate with our students. And this was like, you know, really like a mentorship type thing. So it was just like maybe like a couple hours a week the students would work on this. And yeah, then ultimately they gave really exciting presentations at the end. Yeah, and then also part of the course development, something that should not be ignored or forgotten about is promoting it ahead of time. So we made a flyer for our course. Most schools have a course enrollment minimum, so we definitely think you should not forget this step. We made this flyer to share on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook, and we also sent it across departmental listservs to get students to sign up. One of the reasons we had to go so hard on the promotion is because we only got this class up on the registrar like a few weeks before class started. Like I said, this was kind of unexpected that we were going to do it so soon, but we just kind of went for it. We had 20 people sign up, but then 10 dropped before the withdrawal deadline. But it was a wonderful 10 students. So we had you know, don't worry about as long as you have the minimum for the course enrollment for the course to still exist, just lean into it and it'll be a really fun time. So I know some courses had like 100 people, but ours was a little bit different. Yeah, and so I'd like to introduce Vivian. She's our co-director of education now, and she's going to talk about our reflections and future development for this education pillar.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vivian. Thank you so much, Lauren, for the introduction. So I just wanted to start off with showing these petition responses, and this was a joint effort between Sanchit and Emily last semester. They advertised a petition that asked if students and faculty would be interested in having an alt protein curriculum on campus. And so we got a lot of responses from so many different departments. You can see it varies from Chem BE to political science to economics and English. So you could see there's like just a whole group of students and faculty who are interested in learning more about this field. And some of the testimonials that were provided in this survey included things like providing a real world experience so that they could find internships and jobs, apply skills that they've learned in courses. And also we have this startup accelerator program at Hopkins. And so some students would be interested in pursuing more of the business side of alt protein. And we would like to advertise to both undergrad and graduate students. Next, please. And so we also looked at the student testimonials from the Future Food Manufacturing course from last semester, and we asked them what their favorite parts of the course was. And students really felt like they were part of a community where other students like them and the professors, the external speakers, all share the same vision of changing our food system. They really enjoyed the startup project because it provided them with that real world experience, and it helped kind of redefine what they would want to do in the future professionally. And you can see, you know, for 1 credit course, people really liked it. Next slide. We also asked them, what was the worst aspects? What are some areas of improvement? And these responses were so overwhelmingly positive because basically all of them were just saying like they wish this class was longer. They wish they had more lectures, which is not really something you can say for all classes, right? So students just really wanted to build upon this class. They wanted to do more things. And so we felt really motivated to expand this course, make this from 1 credit to a 3 credit course. And next slide. And so this is what Sanchit and I have been doing this semester with the help with Lauren, Emily, and the rest of our team. So our previous course structure included lectures, guest speakers, the startup project, presentations, and we did have one tasting because Johan, we're really fortunate that he's actually the co-founder of Muji Meats. And so students were able to have his plant-based meat tastings. Sanjay and I decided we wanted to also include more hands-on opportunities, so experiments, and students can engage more with others. So with the weekly discussion posts and Socratic seminars, they get to do some readings on their own and discuss with others on what they've learned. We also wanted to instill some pre-class quizzes, which honestly is like not that bad because they're just going to be open book and it's mostly going to be graded upon completion. We just want students to come in with some basic knowledge of what's going to be going on in the lecture. And something to note is that with what Lauren said before about the time commitment, we understand that professors are super busy. They don't have that bandwidth to take on a whole course for themselves. And so we kind of wanted to make it easier for them and also engage with a lot of different other faculty members from various departments. So what we're going to do for the fall semester is have Johan kind of just oversee that course, deal with the admin side of things, help with grading, and maybe do a couple lectures. But we're going to have the support of a whole bunch of professors and external speakers from different departments and fields. We also wanted to include more non-STEM topics as well, such as business and policy, just to reflect that interdisciplinary nature of Alt Protein. And so our long-term goal then is we really want to try to make this sustainable. We want to have this, be a long-term curriculum on campus. And so what we're trying to do right now is develop a core team of professors who are interested in furthering the education of Alt Protein. And hopefully, like on their own one day, they could teach a whole class within their department. So something related to Alt Protein and their expertise. And in order to do this, we also need to reach out to the deans of the school, so like the engineering school, public health, and also potential other university officials, such as the VP of research. And we want to see if it's possible to get teaching grants, to get more incentives for professors to take on this course and have it fulfill their teaching requirements so that they have the bandwidth to do so. But as for now, kind of back to what Lauren was saying with the philosophy of you need to walk before you run. We want to start small. We want to kind of just build this course and really just get more support from faculty. Next page. And so just to summarize today, we have a really strong community. We have a great group of people who have the same vision. And we also have faculty members who are we're really fortunate to have their support as well. Something to just reiterate, this has been an ongoing process since January of 2021, before we even started the chapter. And there's been a lot of work that went into it, such as pitching to the faculty members, the intersession courses, the 1 credit courses. But it's great to see that we have really great positive feedback. And so we're super excited to be able to launch the 3 credit course in the fall. And again, our long-term goal would then to be develop a sustainable Alt Protein curricula across campus within various departments. And so here are some pictures from that course that was taught last semester and some really helpful QR codes. And one more slide, please. And yeah, we just wanted to kind of take this quote again from GFI and say, like, students are helping shape the future of Alt Protein into this really great revolutionary field. So thank you everyone for your time, and we're just going to open up the floor for any questions now.
That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you, everybody. I frankly have a lot of questions that I would love to dig into, but I also don't want to monopolize everything. So I will open it up to student questions. And if there's just a lot of silence, then I'll jump in.
question. First of all, this is really impressive. So congratulations to you all on being able to accomplish this. But I was kind of curious with the researchers or the faculty members that you got to, I guess, participate or to teach lectures in the course. Did they already do alternative protein research and they were teaching on that, or was it more like they did something tangential and then they kind of I guess modified whatever it is that they did research on to include alternative protein?
Yeah, I can take that. You know, excitingly, most of the professors who were lecturing were not like cultured meat or plant-based protein researchers. I think only one of them, Johan, because he has a startup, Muji Meats. That was the professor here. But most of them, it was just like maybe some side interests of theirs. Professors tend to have a lot of those. And they kind of like took their research or their know-how and they spun it in like in a alt protein context. Like our biophysics professor was talking about the biophysics of proteins and like how protein engineering could give rise to more stable ingredients or things like that, even though that's not like something that he studies. So yeah, you definitely don't need professors to have alt protein research going on or alt protein expertise beforehand. And that's something that you can like, you know, ease their worries about early on.
Can I also jump in with one more thing? I did want to spotlight Lauren. I know we didn't include it on this presentation, but she also taught an intersession course recently on future fashion innovation. And so there was a professor who provided a lab experiment and a lecture, I believe, and he doesn't do work with an alt protein. He does a lot of protein folding research, but he was still able to contribute to that. And he's also really happy to help contribute to this course as well. And just teaching students more about proteins themselves and lead a similar experiment.
That's absolutely fantastic. And just for the sake of everybody, I kind of want to highlight the fact that this is a great example of work in one of our objectives, most directly being education, directly benefiting work in other objectives. Because if you bring in a researcher to give some sort of guest lecture who isn't doing anything specifically with alt proteins, and they can start building their education and their their lecture experience around that, that will be part of those small nudges that might be able to get them to have a research side stream into alt proteins. So that is a wonderful synergy of some different things that you were doing. Excellent work.
Yeah, it's all about planting seeds in their brains. Like checking back a year later, have you given any more thought to alt protein research?
So I can follow up on that. So is there anything when you pitched it to the professors, was there anything that particularly like motivated them to teach the course?
Yeah, I would say we were trying to pitch it as like an opportunity for them. So I think in some of our like we made a slide in our pitch deck for like benefits for faculty. We brought their attention to like the research grant program, to the research funding database, encourage them to add themselves to the collaborative research directory, find collaborators. So we kind of pitched this as like, this is not just teaching a course, it's also like it's also kind of putting yourself into a new field that has grant money. And like, so we were trying to motivate them with funding, since at the time we didn't have any sort of like teaching grants or anything that we could incentivize them with. But yeah, that was something that our faculty advisor really doubled down on. It was like, yeah, you'll want to like sell the funding aspect and the research aspect as part of this, so that, and like, you know, really drive home the point that this is going to like help them engage in an ecosystem of faculty and researchers who are interested in this topic. And, you know, if you're teaching a guest lecture on this, and you can say that you've done that if you're ever trying to like apply for funding. And it's just like a good way to expand your research.
Awesome. Yeah, makes sense. It's
You just gotta
amazing.
go for it. You find
Yeah.
one faculty who is who's down for it, and then figure the rest out from there. Thank you.
Kind of to follow up with that, I was curious how much the faculty sponsor that you were able to get, did they facilitate getting the course being made?
Yeah, good question. Could we advertise it to him as, you know, low barrier to entry? He had to help out with some of the logistical things, like he had to talk to his dean, and he had to like put the course up on the registrar, have his name on things. But me and Emily as the TAs, we did all of the planning. Like even if there was like a guest lecture and we couldn't fill it, like I would just make up a lecture myself, like based on stuff that I found on like GFI website or something, and I would teach it. Like it was, and I think so he gave like two lectures in total, but yeah, the rest was like all us just finding guest lectures or filling in where we were needed. And like there was one day where we had like a guest lecture cancel, or there was 1 week we had a guest lecture cancel, and we just like, I don't know, we're like, okay, well, we're doing a potluck that day. So yeah, it was just kind of very flexible, and we just kind of needed the faculty for like their name pretty much, and he knew that, and so that's why he was able to help us out, because it wasn't like too much work for him. But it's good if you want to do this, like have like a couple students that can like be a TA for it, who like say that they're going to be this helpful. Like we will do everything for you, basically.
Did you get a budget for the course, or how did that work?
The budget came from Johann's like personal, we really didn't have a big budget for it. But Johann did use, I think, his personal like research money so we could like have some food for talks and stuff. So that is definitely something we want to work on, like improving. You get more of a budget if it's a bigger class. Also, if it's like a 3 credit hour instead of a 1 credit hour. So there's opportunities to increase the amount of money available to us for like experiments and stuff. But yeah, that's something that we'll probably keep in mind for the future, and build into our course pitch for the deans and whatnot. We really need the deans on board in order to get more money for this.
Lauren, do you want to go back to the slides with our emails in case anyone else has other questions later on?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I just want to say, I mean, we'll basically make this call out at the end of every presentation, every community call. We certainly hope that these can be like the beginnings, the starts of collaborations, of question and answering. So please, like, reach out to each other. You can reach out to us, and as intermediaries, use the community directory so that, as both Lauren and Vivian had said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, even if we're talking about something as specific as this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so
And
much.
I can pass it over to the EIT group.
Thank you guys so much. And yeah, I'll welcome our EIT group, who has a different perspective